people, make una gather around though, because this video will save you from big wahala. You are a landlord abi, and then you say to yourself, what do I even need this tenancy agreement for? Can't I just rent out my house to people and be at peace? That is where you are wrong. If you really want peace, then you need a tenancy agreement. Let me tell you, the tenancy agreement is like a sheet blocking problems before they even get close to you. You don't just want tenants, you want tenants who follows your rules. And the best way to do that is to put it in black and white, and by this you are avoiding zero wahala. Now picture this, you finally find a tenant, decent guy, no issues, he pays his rent on time. One day you visit your property and you find people queuing in the front door as if they are in NYC camp, and then you ask this tenant, oga tenant, wetin dey happen here now? And he says, oga landlord, I no go fit stay for this apartment alone, so I just give out some rooms to people. Now this young man has turned your house into a boarding school. If you don't want this type of behavior, what you have to do is to put it there in the agreement, and if he eventually breaks this rule, you can evict him from your premises. Now let's talk about notice to quit. The Nigerian law says that you are to give your tenants a 6-month notice to quit if he's a yearly tenant. Imagine, is that not too much? That's not even enough time for you to rear a goat for your village. I'm the goat, man. But if you can't wait for 6 months to get your house back, then what you have to do is to put it there in the agreement. If it's 1 month, put it there. That way you won't be caught waiting endlessly. Just 1 month and they get out. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm sorry. So this one, my people, I must speak to your sense of responsibility. As a landlord, you rent out your apartment with very affordable utility bill, which you all know as NEPA bills, and then your tenants start using electric plates to cook, start using electric heaters, and these things tend to skyrocket the price of the electricity bill. Instead causing humongous damages to your electric wires. Your electric wires keep burning, and every time you keep repairing the electricity. So what do you do as a landlord? Put it there in your tenancy agreement. No hot plates, no electric heaters, no nothing of that sort, so that you won't keep fighting high electricity bill just like Buhari was fighting corruption years ago. Don't forget that the electric wires keep burning from other usage, and the next thing, everywhere start to smell like firewood made a burn. Let's talk about repairs. Landlord knows the pain here. The landlord wakes up one morning and then the next thing, oga landlord, my bulb is not working. Oga landlord, my tap has some leakages in it. The next thing they will tell the landlord is that the mosquito is entering from their window. Is the landlord a mosquito repellent or an insecticide? Oga landlord, if you want peace of mind, put it there in the tenancy agreement. Let the agreement say that the tenant is responsible for small repairs. That way you can sleep without getting called by these tenants about their bulbs at 2 a.m. This one is about pets and wild animals. You think you are renting your apartment to a quiet and responsible tenant, only for you to come up the next day and you see 5 hefty dogs in your compound. The following night, you keep seeing cats roaming about the compound, and you kept praying, thinking that your village people have come to deal with you, not knowing that those cats belongs to your tenants. Next week, na parrot you see, and before you know it, you start seeing elephants at your backyard very soon. Dear landlord, if you don't want your house to be turned into Noah's Ark, then put it there in the tenancy agreement. State categorically, no cats, no dogs allowed, no elephants. If your tenant wants to rear animals, they should go and get a place in Sambisa forest. Imagine as a landlord, you come back from work and dog they chase you as if say you be born for the dog. And that's a no for me. You know go happen when you have a tenancy agreement. You rented your place for residential use, abi? So you expect some level of peace and quiet. Next thing, you see your tenants hanging signboard outside with the inscription Ikebuku and Chinwe's Saloons and Daycare Enterprise. Neighbors are now complaining, people are trooping in and out, and the next thing, your property start looking like Onitsha main markets. If you don't want your place to be turned into a business hub, then put it there in your tenancy agreement. State it there clearly, no business operation on this premises, and let them know your property is not a shopping mall. Now let's talk about cleanliness. If you want a tenant who won't pile up rubbish, making it look as if they are building a Lagos dump site, then put it there in the tenancy agreement. Now write in the tenancy agreement, tenant must keep the property clean and participate in cleaning of the property and the surroundings. You don't want to turn your compound to dustbin. Now this one is for those tenants who thinks they are landlords in another person's house. You see them drilling holes, mounting ACs, installing solar panels on the landlord's roof. If you don't want this as a landlord, then you have to put it there in your tenancy agreement. State it categorically, no solar panel on the roof, no AC installation, at least not without your permission, right? unless you want them to spoil your roof or zinc, as the case may be. Now let's talk about septic tank, popularly known as sockaway. As a landlord, you are there resting, trying to have your favorite dish of egusi soup and fufu, and then your tenant calls you on phone. Oga landlord, our septic tank don full, shit don dey come out, dey burst everywhere just dey smell anyhow. And there and then you lost appetite for that food immediately. If you don't want such issues to occur, put it there in your tenancy agreement. Tell your tenants from the onset that they should contribute for the evacuation of a septic tank. Besides, nobody wants to live in a place that smells like the back of my 12 markets in Lagos. Alright? Enough, as a landlord, you might not even be staying in the same apartment with them, or you might not even be using that same septic tank. So why then would they tell you to come and evacuate it? Now you shit that shit. So put it there in the tenancy agreement. Now this one is for tenants I normally refer to as night workers. They come back very late in the night or early in the morning, and they start banging the gate by 2 a.m. almost every day. Unless they are Dangote trailers driver that transports goods at night, why would they be coming by 3 a.m. in the morning? If you are a landlord, you don't want such behavior to happen, then put it there in your tenancy agreement. There are some tenants who really like playing very loud music. Every Friday they turn their apartment into a mini nightclub, disturbing the neighborhood and everybody. And if you are a tenant that don't like such behavior, put it there in the tenancy agreement. No playing of excessively loud music. Now let's say you've put all these rules in the tenancy agreement, and then your tenant now decide to do exactly the opposite of what you've told them not to do. Can you evict them from your premises on that ground alone? The answer is yes, you can evict them. So in this instance, if they fail to adhere to any of those rules, you have the power to serve them a notice to quit. And if they fail to leave the apartment even after being served notice to quit, you can take them to court. So the notice to quit doesn't have to be 6 months. Okay, what is stated in the agreement takes precedence, right? So if what is in the agreement is a month notice to quit or 2 months notice to quit, then within those period of time you can serve your notice to quit. It doesn't have to be 6 months. What the court would look at is when there is an agreement between the parties. When there is an agreement between the parties, which is where the tenancy agreement comes in, the court would interpret the tenancy agreement, right? So it is only when there is no tenancy agreement between the parties, that is when the 6 months rule applies. Invariably, what this means is that when the tenant and the landlord have agreed that duration for the notice to quit is 1 month notice, and the tenant have signed the tenancy agreement, then that 1 month notice becomes what the law will look into. One major mistake Nigerian landlords keep making is that they leave everything to we go settle them later. Now we and this is one reason why many landlord and tenant issue has been on the high side. Don't leave everything to we go settle them later. Get a tenancy agreement, put it down in black and white. And Oga landlord, if you want your tenancy agreement to hold water like Mama Nkechi's pot of soup, then you need a lawyer to prepare it for you. Let the lawyer seal it with a lawyer stamp. That way it carries more weight in court and it increases its probative value as evidence in court. So Oga landlord, you want peace, right? You want control, right? You want power over your property, am I right? Then make your tenancy agreement tighter than Mama Nkechi's puff puff. Get a lawyer to prepare a tenancy agreement for you today. My name is Isaac Okeke. I'm a lawyer and a real estate entrepreneur who uses the machinery of the law to safeguard the interests of my clients. And for those who do not know, I have an ebook titled Clear Road and Nigerian Landlord and Tenants Wahala, Know Your Rights and Stay Protected. So that ebook is basically for landlords and tenants. It tends to showcase the rights and obligations of both landlord and tenants and ways to avoid disputes and even resolve disputes in an amicable way, right? Most of these controversial issues pertaining landlord and tenant has been dealt with in this book. So with this book alone, you don't have to go through the rigorous stress of going to court or paying lawyers to litigate for you in court. It saves you cost, it saves you future problems, unforeseen contingencies, and it saves you from so many things. The time you would have wasted in going to court can be channeled to other profitable aspects of your life, be it your business, your family, your career development. The money you should have expended in going to court, running into thousands of naira, if not millions, would be channeled into something profitable. So think about it. The book is selling for just a minute sum of 5,000 naira. All right, if you're interested in this book, kindly click on the link in any part of this post, or you can equally chat me up on WhatsApp and I would tell you how to go about it.